The Anguttara Nikaya, Book of the Fours, Suttas 181 to 190. Vagga, the section on Brahmins. Yodhājiva Sutta, the king's warrior. Bhikkhus, by possessing four traits, the king's warrior becomes worthy of the king, a true royal possession, and seen as a symbol of kingship. What are these four? Here, bhikkhus, the warrior is skilled in taking the right position, able to strike from a distance, skilled at shooting at the right moment, and able to bring down a formidable enemy. By possessing these four traits, the king's warrior becomes worthy of the king, a true royal possession, and seen as a symbol of kingship. Bhikkhus, in the same manner, by possessing these four traits, the bhikkhu becomes worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, and worthy of reverential salutation with clasped hands, the unsurpassed field of merits for the world. And what are these four traits? Here, bhikkhus, the bhikkhu becomes skilled in taking the right position, able to strike from a distance, skilled at shooting at the right moment, and able to bring down a formidable enemy. And how, bhikkhus, does the bhikkhu become skilled in taking the right position? Here, bhikkhus, the bhikkhu becomes virtuous in character, restrained in his behavior and conduct, observing the Pātibhoga, while seeing the danger in the slightest of faults. In this way, the bhikkhu becomes skilled in taking the right position. And how, bhikkhus, is the bhikkhu able to strike from a distance? Here, bhikkhus, whatever matter or object the bhikkhu sees, he does so with the correct understanding, and as it really is. Thus, all matter, whether having to do with the past, future, or present, whether taking place internally or externally, gross or subtle, mundane or exalted in nature, be it far or near, he looks at its entirety with the attitude, "It is not mine. I am not in it. It is not myself." Whatever feelings the bhikkhu experiences, he does so with the correct understanding, as it really is. Thus, all feelings, whether having to do with the past, future, or present, whether taking place internally or externally, gross or subtle, mundane or exalted in nature, be it far or near, he looks at its entirety with the attitude, "It is not mine. I am not in it. It is not myself." Whatever memories or perceptions the bhikkhu experiences, he does so with the correct understanding, and as it really is. Thus, all memories, whether having to do with the past, future, or present, whether taking place internally or externally, gross or subtle, mundane or exalted in nature, be they far or near, he looks at their entirety with the attitude, "It is not mine. I am not in it. It is not myself." Whatever mental conjurings the bhikkhu experiences, he does so with the correct understanding, and as it really is. Thus, all mental conjurings, whether having to do with the past, future, or present, whether taking place internally or externally, gross or subtle, mundane or exalted in nature, be they far or near, he looks at their entirety with the attitude, "It is not mine. I am not in it. It is not myself." Whatever sense awareness the bhikkhu experiences, he does so with the correct understanding and as it really is. Thus, all sense awareness, whether having to do with the past, future, or present, whether taking place internally or externally, gross or subtle, mundane or exalted in nature, be it far or near, he looks at its entirety with the attitude, "It is not mine. I am not in it. It is not myself." It is in this way that the bhikkhu is able to strike from a distance. And how, bhikkhus, is the bhikkhu skilled at shooting at the right moment? Here, bhikkhus, the bhikkhu personally knows and understands when suffering takes place. He personally knows and understands how the arising of suffering takes place. He personally knows and understands when the ending of all suffering takes place. And he personally knows and understands the path leading to the ending of all suffering and how it takes place. It is in this way that the bhikkhu is skilled at shooting at the right moment. And how, bhikkhus, is the bhikkhu able to bring down a formidable enemy? Here, bhikkhus, the bhikkhu obliterates the formidable mass of ignorance. It is in this way that the bhikkhu is able to bring down a formidable enemy. Bhikkhus, by possessing these four traits, the bhikkhu becomes worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, and worthy of reverential salutation with clasped hands, the unsurpassed field of merits for the world. Pātibhoga Sutta. No one can replace us in facing what we must face ourselves. Bhikkhus, there are four things in the world that no one can replace us in facing them ourselves throughout life. Not a recluse, a Brahmin, a Deva, Mara, nor even Brahma. What are these four? Bhikkhus, no one can replace us in facing old age and decay, or by getting old on our behalf in life. Not a recluse, a Brahmin, a Deva, Mara, not even Brahma. Bhikkhus, no one can replace us in facing our own illnesses or in getting sick on our behalf in life. Not a recluse, a Brahmin, a Deva, Mara, not even Brahma. Bhikkhus, no one can replace us in facing our inevitable death. Not a recluse, a Brahmin, a Deva, Mara, not even Brahma. Bhikkhus, no one can replace us in facing the inevitable consequences of our evil and unwholesome actions, which lead us into their future ripening of bad rebirths, suffering, old age, and death. Not a recluse, a Brahmin, a Deva, Mara, not even Brahma. Bhikkhus, these are the four things in the world that no one can replace us in facing them ourselves throughout life. Not a recluse, a Brahmin, a Deva, Mara, not even Brahma. Sutta. What is heard? At one time, the Blessed One was living in the squirrel's sanctuary at the bamboo grove in Vagga, when Vassakāra, the chief minister of Magadha, approached the Blessed One, and after exchanging friendly greetings, he sat to one side and said to the Blessed One, "Lord Gautama, I am of the view that states, If someone were to see a form and then declares, "I have seen this," then there is no fault to be found in this. If someone were to hear a sound and then declares, "I have heard this," then there is no fault to be found in this. If someone were to smell an odor and then declares, "I have smelled this," then there is no fault to be found in this. If someone were to taste a flavor and then declares, "I have tasted this," then there is no fault to be found in this. If someone were to touch something and then declares, "I have touched this," then there is no fault to be found in this. If someone were to know something by thought and then declares, "I have known this," then there is no fault to be found in this. Brahmin, I do not say that one should talk about all that one sees, nor do I say that one should not talk about all that one sees. I do not say that one should talk about all that one hears, nor do I say that one should not talk about all that one hears. I do not say that one should talk about all that one smells, nor do I say that one should not talk about all that one smells. I do not say that one should talk about all that one tastes, nor do I say that one should talk about all that one tastes. I do not say that one should talk about all that one touches, nor do I say that one should not talk about all that one touches. I do not say that one should talk about all that one knows through thought, nor do I say that one should not talk about all that one knows through thought. However, Brahmin, when one talks about what one has seen, and this causes the increase in unwholesome qualities, while decreasing wholesome qualities, then I do say that one should not speak about what one has seen. But if talking about what one has seen, and this causes the increase in wholesome qualities, while decreasing unwholesome qualities, then I do say that one should speak about what one has seen. When one talks about what one has heard, and this causes the increase in unwholesome qualities while decreasing wholesome qualities, then I do say that one should not speak about what one has heard. But if by talking about what one has heard, this causes the increase in wholesome qualities while decreasing unwholesome qualities, then I do say that one should speak about what one has heard. When one talks about what one has smelled, and this causes the increase in unwholesome qualities while decreasing wholesome qualities, then I do say that one should not speak about what one has smelled. But if by talking about what one has smelled, this causes the increase in wholesome qualities while decreasing unwholesome qualities, then I do say that one should speak about what one has smelled. When one talks about what one has tasted, and this causes the increase in unwholesome qualities while decreasing wholesome qualities, then I do say that one should not speak about what one has tasted. But if by talking about what one has tasted, this causes the increase in wholesome qualities while decreasing unwholesome qualities, then I do say that one should speak about what one has tasted. When one talks about what one has touched, and this causes the increase in unwholesome qualities while decreasing wholesome qualities, then I do say that one should not speak about what one has touched. But if by talking about what one has touched, this causes the increase in wholesome qualities while decreasing unwholesome qualities, then I do say that one should speak about what one has touched. When one talks about what one has known through thought, and this causes the increase in unwholesome qualities while decreasing wholesome qualities, then I do say that one should not speak about what one has known through thought. But if by talking about what one has known through thought, this causes the increase in wholesome qualities while decreasing unwholesome qualities, then I do say that one should speak about what one has known through thought. In hearing this, the Brahmin Vassakāra, the chief minister of Magadha, became pleased and delighted in agreement with the words of the Blessed One, and afterwards got up from his seat and went away. Abhaya Sutta, freedom from fear. One time, the Brahmin Janusoni, having approached the Blessed One, exchanged friendly greetings with him, and then sat to one side and said to the Blessed One, "Lord Gautama, I am of the view and declare that there can be no death for any mortal person who has no fear for it, nor trembles in the face of death." Brahmin, there are those mortals who fear and tremble in the face of death, and there are those who do not fear nor tremble in the face of death. And who among these mortals, Brahmin, are the ones who fear and tremble in the face of death? Here, Brahmin, someone has not rid himself of lust, from wanting, from seeking affection, still lingering in passion, thirsty for more sensuality. When the reality of life happens and he is struck by a serious illness, the thought occurs to him, "Alas, I will have to say goodbye to all sensual pleasures that are so dear to me." As a result, he grieves, becomes depressed, beating his chest while crying and lamenting, as his head droops, and he becomes hopelessly bewildered and confused. Brahmin, this is one case of a mortal fearing and trembling in the face of death. Again, Brahmin, someone has not rid himself of lust, from wanting, from seeking affection, still lingering in passion, thirsty for more things to be experienced through the body. When the reality of life happens, and he is struck by a serious illness, the thought occurs to him, "Alas, I will have to say goodbye to this body that is so dear to me." As a result, he grieves, becomes depressed, beating his chest while crying and lamenting, as his head droops, and he becomes hopelessly bewildered and confused. Brahmin, this also is a case of a mortal fearing and trembling in the face of death. Again, Brahmin, someone who has not done what is good, nor any meritorious actions that shelter oneself, and instead has done what is evil, unwholesome, cruel, and gruesome throughout his life. When the reality of life happens, and he is struck by a serious illness, the thought occurs to him, "Alas, I have not done what is good, nor any meritorious actions that shelter oneself, and instead I have done what is evil, unwholesome, cruel, and gruesome throughout my life." As a result, he grieves, becomes depressed, beating his chest while crying and lamenting, as his head droops, and he becomes hopelessly bewildered and confused. Brahmin, this also is a case of a mortal fearing and trembling in the face of death. Again, Brahmin, someone has lived perplexed, non-resolute, and with much doubt towards the true Dhamma, never benefiting from the teachings throughout his life. When the reality of life happens and he is struck by a serious illness, the thought occurs to him, "Alas, I have lived perplexed, non-resolute, and with much doubt towards the true Dhamma, never benefiting from the teachings throughout my life. As a result, he grieves, becomes depressed, beating his chest while crying and lamenting, as his head droops and he becomes hopelessly bewildered and confused. Brahmin, this also is a case of a mortal fearing and trembling in the face of death. Brahmin, these are the 4 cases of mortals fearing and trembling in the face of death. And who among these mortals, Brahmin, are the ones who do not fear and tremble in the face of death? Here, Brahmin, someone has rid himself of lust, from wanting, from seeking affection, no more lingering in passion, no longer thirsty for sensuality. When the reality of life happens and he is struck by a serious illness, the thought does not occur to him, alas, I will have to say goodbye to all sensual pleasures that are so dear to me. As a result, he does not grieve, nor becomes depressed. He does not beat his chest, nor cries or laments. His head is lifted, and he lives contentedly, without any sense of bewilderment or confusion. Brahmin, this is one case of a mortal who does not fear nor tremble in the face of death. Again, Brahmin, someone has rid himself of lust, from wanting, from seeking affection, no more lingering in passion, no longer thirsty for more things to be experienced through the body. When the reality of life happens and he is struck by a serious illness, the thought does not occur to him, alas, I will have to say goodbye to this body that is so dear to me. As a result, he does not grieve, nor become depressed. He does not beat his chest, nor cries or laments. His head is lifted, and he lives contentedly, without any sense of bewilderment nor confusion. Brahmin, this is also a case of a mortal who does not fear nor tremble in the face of death. Again, Brahmin, someone who has done what is good, as well as meritorious actions that shelter oneself, while also avoiding what is evil, unwholesome, cruel, and gruesome throughout his life. When the reality of life happens and he is struck by a serious illness, the thought occurs to him, I have done what is good, as well as meritorious actions that shelter oneself, while also avoiding what is evil, unwholesome, cruel, and gruesome throughout my life. When I die, I will be greeted by what is appropriate to those actions that I have done. As a result, he does not grieve, nor become depressed. He does not beat his chest, nor cries or laments. His head is lifted, and he lives contentedly, without any sense of bewilderment nor confusion. Brahmin, this is also a case of a mortal who does not fear nor tremble in the face of death. Again, Brahmin, someone has lived unperplexed, resolute, and without any doubts toward the true Dhamma, benefiting from the teachings throughout one's life. When the reality of life happens and he is struck by a serious illness, the thought occurs to him, I have lived unperplexed, resolute, and without any doubts towards the true Dhamma, benefiting from the teachings throughout my life. As a result, he does not grieve nor become depressed. He does not beat his chest nor cries or laments. His head is lifted, and he lives contentedly, without any sense of bewilderment nor confusion. Brahmin, this is also a case of a mortal who does not fear nor tremble in the face of death. Brahmin, these are the 4 cases of mortals who do not fear nor tremble in the face of death. It is excellent, Lord. It is marvelous, Bhante. The Blessed One has made the Dhamma clear to me in many ways. I feel as though the Tathagata has turned upright what was overturned, revealing what was hidden, showing the correct path to someone who was lost, as though one were to bring a lamp into the darkness for all those with eyesight to see. Bhante, I go for refuge to the Blessed One, to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha of Bhikkhus. May the Blessed One accept me as his lay disciple, who has taken refuge in him from today until the end of life. Brāhmanasacca Sutta, Truths of Brahmins. At one time, the Blessed One was living on Vulture's Peak in Vagga. At that time, many well-known wandering ascetics were living in the monastery of the Wanderers' Park, on the bank of river Sapini. Some of these ascetics included Annabhara, Varadhara, and Sakuludayi, among others. Later, when it was evening, the Blessed One came out from his seclusion and went to the Wanderers' Park by the river Sapini. Meanwhile, the wandering ascetics had been assembled and seated together, discussing the truths of the Brahmins. Then, in approaching the wandering ascetics, the Blessed One sat on the prepared seat for him, as he addressed the ascetics. Wandering ascetics, what was the nature of your conversation that was taking place just now, as you sat here assembled? Lord Gautama, while assembled and seated here, we were discussing the truths of the Brahmins. Wandering ascetics, there are these 4 truths of Brahmins that I have declared, having realized them as truths for myself and with direct understanding. What are these 4? Here, wandering ascetics, the Brahmins say thus: all living things are not to be destroyed. Spoken thus, the words of the Brahmins are true and real, not falsehood. But on account of such a statement being made, one does not consider. Because of my thinking in this way, I am now to be seen as a recluse, a Brahmin. Nor does he compare himself to others thus: I am superior, or equal to, or inferior to others, because of this truth. Instead, the person directly sees the relevancy and importance of this truth for oneself, having known it for oneself, and therefore he is one who practices and expresses loving kindness and compassion to all living beings. Again, wandering ascetics, the Brahmins say thus: all sensual pleasures are impermanent, bring suffering, and are subject to change. Spoken thus, the words of the Brahmins are true and real, not falsehood. But on account of such a statement being made, one does not consider. Because of my thinking in this way, I am now to be seen as a recluse, a Brahmin. Nor does he compare himself to others thus: I am superior, or equal to, or inferior to others, because of this truth. Instead, the person directly sees the relevancy and importance of this truth for oneself, as he becomes more and more disenchanted with all sensual pleasures, given their impermanent nature and their cessation. Again, wandering ascetics, the Brahmins say thus: all aspects of existence are impermanent, bring suffering, and are subject to change. Spoken thus, the words of the Brahmins are true and real, not falsehood. But on account of such a statement being made, one does not consider. Because of my thinking in this way, I am now to be seen as a recluse, a Brahmin. Nor does he compare himself to others thus. I am superior, or I am equal to, or I am inferior to others because of this truth. Instead, the person directly sees the relevancy and importance of this truth for oneself, as he becomes more and more disenchanted with all aspects of existence, given their impermanent nature and their cessation. Again, wandering ascetics, the Brahmins say thus: I do not belong to anyone in all of existence, nor is there anything in the entire existence that belongs to me. Spoken thus, the words of the Brahmins are true and real, not falsehood. But on account of such a statement being made, one does not consider. Because of my thinking in this way, I am now to be seen as a recluse, a Brahmin. Nor does he compare himself to others thus. I am superior, or equal to, or inferior to others, because of this truth. Instead, the person directly sees the relevancy and importance of this truth for oneself, as he practices the path of possessing nothing. Wandering ascetics, there are these 4 truths of Brahmins that I have declared, having realized them as truths for myself, and with direct understanding. Ummagga Sutta, Sharp-Wittedness. Once, a certain bhikkhu approached the Blessed One, and after worshipping the teacher with clasped hands, sat to one side and spoke. Bhante, how is the world led on? By what means is the world dragged around? By the arising of what authority or cause is the world kept under its control? Very good, bhikkhu. Your sharp-wittedness is admirable. Your discernment is clearly shown in your elegant question. Bhikkhu, as you ask. Bhante, how is the world led on? By what means is the world dragged around? By the arising of what authority or cause is the world kept under its control? Yes, Bhante. Bhikkhu, the world is led on by the mind. It is by the mind that the world is dragged around. And it is by the arising of the mind as its authority and cause that the world is kept under its control. Appreciating and being delighted with the Blessed One's reply, the bhikkhu said, Very good, Bhante, in agreement, as he asked a further question. Bhante, it is said, one must become an accomplished expert on the Dhamma, to be an accomplished expert of the Dhamma. Bhante, how can one become an accomplished expert of the Dhamma? Very good, bhikkhu. Your sharp-wittedness is admirable. Your discernment is clearly shown in your elegant question, bhikkhu, as you ask. Bhante, it is said, one must become an accomplished expert on the Dhamma, to be an accomplished expert of the Dhamma. Bhante, how can one become an accomplished expert of the Dhamma? Yes, Venerable Sir. Bhikkhu, I have given many Dhamma discourses throughout the Suttas, within Suttas that include a mixture of verses and prose sections, expositions, verses, the inspired utterances or udanas, the thus was said sections or itivuttakas, birth stories or jatakas, amazing accounts, as well as the series of questions and answers. Bhikkhu, if one were to remember even a single verse of 4 lines and understand their meaning while practicing and living their truth, then that is enough for one to be called an accomplished expert on the Dhamma. Appreciating and being delighted with the Blessed One's reply, the Bhikkhu said, "Very good, Bhante," in agreement, as he asked a further question. "Bhante, it is said, one must become accomplished with penetrative wisdom. To be accomplished with penetrative wisdom. Bhante, how can one become accomplished with penetrative wisdom?" Very good, Bhikkhu. Your sharp-wittedness is admirable. Your discernment is clearly shown in your elegant question, Bhikkhu, as you ask. Bhante, it is said, one must become accomplished with penetrative wisdom. To be accomplished with penetrative wisdom. Bhante, how can one become accomplished with penetrative wisdom? Yes, Venerable Sir. Here, Bhikkhu. The Bhikkhu, having heard, this is suffering, he also sees and penetratingly understands its meaning with wisdom. In having heard, this is the cause and origin of suffering, he also sees and penetratingly understands its meaning with wisdom. In having heard, this is the ending of all suffering, he also sees and penetratingly understands its meaning with wisdom. In having heard, this is the path that leads to the ending of all suffering, he also sees and penetratingly understands its meaning with wisdom. Bhikkhu, this is how one becomes accomplished with penetrative wisdom. Appreciating and being delighted with the Blessed One's reply, the Bhikkhu said, "Very good, Bhante," in agreement, as he asked a further question. Bhante, it is said, one must become accomplished with great wisdom, to be accomplished with great wisdom. Bhante, how can one become accomplished with great wisdom? Very good, Bhikkhu. Your sharp-wittedness is admirable. Your discernment is clearly shown in your elegant question, Bhikkhu, as you ask. Bhante, it is said, one must become accomplished with great wisdom. To be accomplished with great wisdom. Bhante, how can one become accomplished with great wisdom? Yes, Venerable Sir. Here, Bhikkhu, the one accomplished with great wisdom does not intend on causing distress or pain to either himself or to others, nor intending to cause distress or pain to both. Instead, such a person is one who only intends for the well-being of oneself, the well-being of others, as well as intending for the well-being of both. Bhikkhu, this is how one becomes accomplished with great wisdom. Vassakāra Sutta. Vassakāra. At one time, the Blessed One was living in the squirrel's sanctuary at the bamboo grove in Rajagaha. Then, the Brahmin Vassakāra, the chief minister of the king of Magadha, approached the Blessed One, and after exchanging friendly greetings, sat to one side and said, "Lord Gautama, can a person of low character recognize another person of low character, as in, this person is dishonorable?" Brahmin, it is not possible. It cannot happen that a person of low character could recognize another person of low character, as in, this person is dishonorable. Lord Gautama, in that case, can a person of low character recognize a person of high character, as in, this person is honorable? Brahmin, it is not possible. It cannot happen that a person of low character could recognize a person of high character, as in, this person is honorable. Lord Gautama, in that case, can a person of high character recognize another person of high character, as in, this person is honorable. Brahmin, it is possible that a person of high character could recognize another person of high character, as in, this person is honorable. Lord Gautama, in that case, can a person of high character recognize a person of low character, as in, this person is dishonorable? Brahmin, it is possible that a person of high character could recognize another person of low character, as in, this person is dishonorable. It is amazing, Lord Gautama. It is wonderful how well this has been declared by the Blessed One. It is not possible, it cannot happen that a person of low character could recognize another person of low character, as in, this person is dishonorable. It is not possible, it cannot happen that a person of low character could recognize a person of high character, as in, this person is honorable. It is possible, however, that a person of high character could recognize another person of high character, as in, this person is honorable. It also is possible that a person of high character could recognize a person of low character, as in, this person is dishonorable. I remember, Lord, once the family members of the wealthy Brahmin Todaya had gathered while arousing hostilities against King Elaya, as they concluded, King Elaya must be a fool, for he has placed his complete confidence in the ascetic Ramaputta, showing him the highest honor and respect, worshipping him, rising in his presence, reverentially saluting him with clasped hands, while observing the utmost veneration towards him. Similarly, the lords in King Elaya's court, such as Yamaka, Moggalla, Ugga, Navindaki, Gandhabba, and Aggivesa, all are fools as well, for they too have placed their complete confidence in the ascetic Ramaputta, showing him the highest honor and respect, worshipping him, rising in his presence, reverentially saluting him with clasped hands, while observing the utmost veneration towards him. At this, the Brahmin Todaya asked his relatives, What do you think, sirs? In matters involving administrative tasks and royal duties, do you consider King Elaya as able, wise, and astute, far more than others who are considered as able, wise, and astute? Yes. In matters of administrative tasks and in his royal duties, we consider King Elaya to be able, wise, and astute, far more than others who are considered as able, wise, and astute, replied Todaya's relatives. In that case, sirs, responded Todaya, you must consider how it is precisely because the ascetic Ramaputta is more able, wiser, and more astute than King Elaya in matters of administrative tasks and in royal duties, that King Elaya has placed his complete confidence in the ascetic Ramaputta, showing him the highest honor and respect, worshipping him, rising in his presence, reverentially saluting him with clasped hands, while observing the utmost veneration towards him. Further, sirs, continued Todaya, what do you think? In matters involving administrative tasks and royal duties, do you consider the lords in King Elaya's court, such as Yamaka, Moggalla, Ugga, Navindaki, Gandhabba, and Aggivesa, as able, wise, and astute, far more than others who are considered as able, wise, and astute? Yes. In matters of administrative tasks and in their royal duties, we do consider the lords in King Elaya's court, such as Yamaka, Moggalla, Ugga, Navindaki, Gandhabba, and Aggivesa, as able, wise, and astute, far more than others who are considered as able, wise, and astute, replied Todeya's relatives. In that case, sirs, responded Todeya, you must consider how it is precisely because the ascetic Ramaputta is more able, wiser, and more astute than the lords in King Eleya's court, such as Yamaka, Moggalla, Ugga, Navindaki, Gandhabba, and Aggivesa, in matters of administrative tasks and in royal duties, that they placed their complete confidence in the ascetic Ramaputta, showing him the highest honor and respect, worshipping him, rising in his presence, reverentially saluting him with clasped hands, while observing the utmost veneration towards him. It is amazing, Lord Gautama. It is wonderful how well this has been declared by the Blessed One. It is not possible, it cannot happen that a person of low character could recognize another person of low character, as in, this person is dishonorable. It is not possible, it cannot happen that a person of low character could recognize a person of high character, as in, this person is honorable. It is possible, however, that a person of high character could recognize another person of high character, as in, this person is honorable. It is also possible that a person of high character could recognize a person of low character, as in, this person is dishonorable. Presently, Lord, we have to leave your company, for there is much work to be done. Brahmin, you may do as you think is fit, and go at your own convenience. Then, Vassakāra, the chief minister of the king of Magadha, being quite pleased with the words of the Blessed One, and having accepted his words, got up from his seat and left. Upaka Sutta. Upaka. At one time the Blessed One was residing at the Vulture's Peak, in Rajagha, when Upaka Mandikaputta approached the Blessed One, and after paying homage to the teacher, sat down to one side and said to the Blessed One, Lord Gautama, I am of the view that states, if someone arouses hatred by accusing another, but does not provide evidence to substantiate it, that person is seen as contemptible and therefore blameworthy. Upaka. Anyone who arouses hatred by accusing another, but does not provide evidence to substantiate it, is seen as contemptible and therefore is blameworthy. Now, seeing that that is exactly what you yourself do, Upaka, that also makes you contemptible and therefore blameworthy. Lord, just like a fish in water that comes to the surface and gets caught in a big snare, so too, as I came up to the surface, the Blessed One caught me with a big snare in this debate. Upaka, I have explained and declared that which is unwholesome, and in countless words and expressions found within the Dhamma, the Tathagata has been demonstrating and declaring this. Upaka, I have explained and declared how unwholesome behavior should be abandoned. In countless words and expressions found within the Dhamma, the Tathagata has been demonstrating and declaring this. Upaka, I have explained and declared that which is wholesome, and in countless words and expressions found within the Dhamma, the Tathagata has been demonstrating and declaring this. Upaka, I have explained and declared how wholesome behavior should be developed in countless words and expressions found within the Dhamma. The Tathagata has been demonstrating and declaring this. Then, Upaka Mandikaputta, having delighted in and agreeing with the words of the Blessed One, got up from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One with clasped hands, circumambulated the Blessed One, and left. Later, he approached King Ajatasattu of Magadha, and related the entirety of the conversation with the Blessed One to King Ajatasattu of Magadha. Once finished, King Ajatasattu of Magadha expressed his displeasure and became angry with Upaka Mandikaputta as he exclaimed, "How bold and brazenly foolish is this gossipy boy of a salt-maker! You are impudent and rude to dare to offend the Blessed One by attacking the Arahant, the perfectly awakened Buddha. Upaka, be gone, vanish from my sight." Sacchikaraniya Sutta. What is to be seen for oneself. Bhikkhus, these four things are to be seen for oneself. What are these four? Bhikkhus, there are things that should be seen for oneself through the body. There are things that should be seen for oneself through remembering. There are things that should be seen for oneself through vision. And there are things that should be seen for oneself through wisdom. And what, bhikkhus, are the things that should be seen for oneself through the body? The 8 liberations, bhikkhus, should be seen for oneself through the body. And what, bhikkhus, are the things that should be seen for oneself through remembering? One's previous births, bhikkhus, should be seen for oneself through remembering. And what, bhikkhus, should be seen for oneself through vision? Bhikkhus, the passing away of beings from one realm and their reappearance into another should be seen for oneself through vision. And what, bhikkhus, should be seen for oneself through wisdom? The destruction of the contaminants, bhikkhus, should be seen for oneself with wisdom. Bhikkhus, these are the 4 things that should be seen for oneself. Uposatha Sutta. On the full moon night. At one time, the Blessed One was staying at the Pubba monastery in the palace of Migara's mother at Savatthi. It was during this occasion, on the full moon night of the Uposatha, that the Blessed One was seated, being surrounded by the Sangha of bhikkhus, when, in observing the absolutely silent community of bhikkhus, the Blessed One uttered these words. Bhikkhus, this Sangha of bhikkhus is not neglectful. It is free from prattle, established in the purest essence. Bhikkhus, a community of this nature is rare to be seen in the world. Bhikkhus, such an assembly of bhikkhus is indeed deserving of veneration, suitable and worthy for hospitality, offerings and gifts with reverential clasped hands, the incomparable field of merits for the world. A small gift given to such an assembly of bhikkhus is of much value, let alone a bigger gift, which becomes even more boundless in value. It is indeed invaluable to travel many yojanas, even if one has to carry heavy provisions, in order to see such a Sangha of bhikkhus. Truly, bhikkhus, this is such a Sangha of bhikkhus. Bhikkhus, in this assembly, there are bhikkhus who abide in heavenly bliss. Here, there are bhikkhus who abide in the bliss of the Brahma worlds. Here, there are bhikkhus who abide in the state of imperturbability. And here, bhikkhus, there are those bhikkhus who abide in the state of the noble ones. And how, bhikkhus, does the bhikkhu abide in heavenly bliss? Here, bhikkhus, the bhikkhu, while being secluded from sensual and unwholesome thoughts, enters upon and abides in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thinking and pondering, with joy and pleasure that arise from such seclusion. Later, through the disappearance of both thinking and pondering, the bhikkhu enters upon and abides in the second jhana, which has self-confidence and singleness of mind without thinking and pondering, and with joy and pleasure, born of collectedness of mind. With the detachment from joy, he later abides in equanimity, mindful and fully aware, experiencing pleasure and happiness within the body. This is the third jhana, for which the noble ones state, such a one mindfully abides in happiness, with an ever-present equanimity. Further, by giving up both pleasure and discomfort, and having already gone beyond pleasure and discomfort, while experiencing neither the pleasure nor discomfort, and abiding in the purifying mindfulness with equanimity, he attains to the fourth jhana. Bhikkhus, in this way the bhikkhu abides in heavenly bliss. And how, bhikkhus, does the bhikkhu abide in the bliss of the Brahma worlds? Here, bhikkhus, the bhikkhu dwells pervading one part of space around oneself with loving kindness. So too the second, third, fourth, above, below, and across, and in every respect radiating with a mind permeating with loving kindness that is limitless, unbound, and without measure to all beings as if to himself, entirely without anger or ill will. He dwells pervading one part of space around oneself with compassion. So too the second, third, fourth, above, below, and across, and in every respect radiating with a mind permeating with compassion that is limitless, unbound, and without measure to all beings as to himself, entirely without anger or ill will. Further, he dwells pervading one part of space around oneself with altruistic joy. So too the second, third, fourth, above, below, and across, and in every respect radiating with a mind permeating with altruistic joy that is limitless, unbound, and without measure to all beings as to himself, entirely without anger or ill will. He dwells pervading one part of space around oneself with equanimity. So too the second, third, fourth, above, below, and across, and in every respect radiating with a mind permeating with equanimity that is limitless, unbound, and without measure to all beings as to himself, entirely without anger or ill will. Bhikkhus, in this way the bhikkhu abides in the bliss of the Brahma worlds. And how, bhikkhus, does the bhikkhu abide in the bliss of imperturbability? Here, bhikkhus, the bhikkhu, by going beyond perceptions of form, and not possessing any perceptions of diversity, having ceased all interfering perceptions, while becoming aware that space is infinite, enters upon and dwells in the realm of infinite space. Further, by surpassing the realm of infinite space, while becoming aware that consciousness is itself infinite, enters upon and dwells in the realm of infinite consciousness. Further, by surpassing the realm of infinite consciousness, and while becoming aware that there is nothing at all, he enters upon and dwells in the realm of nothingness. Further, by surpassing the realm of nothingness, he enters upon and dwells in the realm of neither perception nor non-perception. Bhikkhus, in this way the bhikkhu abides in the bliss of imperturbability. And how, bhikkhus, does the bhikkhu abide in the state of the noble ones? Here, bhikkhus, the bhikkhu knows and understands as it really is. This is suffering. He knows and understands as it really is. This is the cause and origin of suffering. He knows and understands as it really is. This is the ending of all suffering. He knows and understands as it really is. This is the path leading to the ending of all suffering. Bhikkhus, in this way, the bhikkhu abides in the state of the noble ones. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.